What's up, guys? It's the Bluebloods, and we are coming at you guys with another episode. We continue our ACC in 28 days theme, and we move on to the Clemson Tigers. We are joined by a very special guest, Reggie Merriweather, who is a former Clemson Tigers running back and now the sideline reporter for the Clemson Radio Network. And we just want to say we appreciate your time today, Reggie.
Man, appreciate you guys for having me on, and what an exciting time it is. ACC, SEC, all that type stuff, man, with signing days and, these young people, getting ready to move into college dorms and do all that. And, and with COVID too, everything's kind of been put on its head again from a fan standpoint and from a student standpoint as well. And as you know, the NCAA has granted guys fifth years, whether it either be high school or college. So it's going to definitely be a very interesting season coming up.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. Before we get into signing day, because I got a lot of questions there, especially regarding an incoming freshman that I'm real excited for. But, we got to start with this past season. Everyone's wondering, this Clemson team, it's almost like clockwork, another college football playoff appearance. They fell just short against Ohio State in the semifinals. But in terms of what you expected in the preseason, did this season exceed, fall short of, or just meet your preseason expectations?
Well, to be honest, I think that based off of the last two seasons, obviously Trevor Lawrence winning the national title his freshman year, going back his sophomore year and getting beat in Alabama. And in the third year, you really didn't know what to expect with the type of offensive line you had coming back, type of skill guys you had coming back. And a lot of guys leave, a lot of defensive players leave. So I'd probably say it met expectations, just looking at the type of team that we had. And, this coaching staff has been together for, a little over 8 years now. So that was cool to see those guys, back together again and, coaching in another college football playoff. But it's definitely weird, trying to put the teams together, if that makes any sense. So you've got Trevor Lawrence, who is once in a generational talent, kind of like, Deshaun Watson, but trying to put the teams together from the different years that he had, the type wide receivers he had. I think this year just met expectation because of all the injuries and just how weird of a year it was from not only a fan standpoint, but, from broadcast standpoint too. And, from a team standpoint with everything that they had going on. So, they fell short, played a great team in Ohio State, weren't able to capitalize on a few plays. And, I think they probably got out coached on defense a little bit. Obviously I'm trying to remember the kid's name now, the quarterback. He's going to be probably one of the top 5 taken in this upcoming draft. Man, he's just an unbelievable talent. He battled back with, hurt ribs and all and was able to finish the game. And, just shows you like the heart of a lion, man. This guy's competitor. But I would say it met expectations. And, again, there's so much hype built up in the Clemson football program because you've got DJ Uiagalelei there, and you've got some promising freshmen that just early enrollees, and hopefully Clemson will be healthy next year. You think about all the wide receivers that we had this year, Latson, Nagata, bunch of those other guys that were injured or missed 5 or 6 games and didn't really have time to develop. And then, my gosh, we'll have Justin Ross back as well too. So I think, they've got a lot of talent coming back on the offense, a lot of guys leaving. But the future is bright for sure for the Clemson offense and defense with all the guys coming back for their 5th and some of them 6th year. College football.
Yeah, Scalzi, I feel like he's been at Clemson since like the early 2000s. It feels like that guy is never going to leave Death Valley. But you mentioned this player, once in a generation talent with Clemson football, in Trevor Lawrence. He just finished out his Clemson career, man, 34-2, 3 college football playoff appearances, 2 natty appearances, and a national championship, like you said. Can you speak on just what you saw as someone who's been around the program? What makes him such a special player, and what did he mean to Clemson being here for 3 years and everything he did for the program?
Well, you gotta think about his recruiting class too, man. He had a lot of special guys in his recruiting class, and Justin Fields. That's it. I couldn't remember his name, but Justin Fields was a guy too, and he comes from the same town, I guess, or same area as Deshaun Watson, and a lot of teams were after this guy. As he was a sophomore and he was getting a bunch of college looks. But when I think of Trevor Lawrence, I mean, obviously the guy is 6'6". He's got great arm talent. He's smart. And the best thing about him, I think, too, is he's just humble. I think a lot of people think he drinks the Kool-Aid. But, I mean, again, what a way to make yourself marketable, right? I mean, you follow the team rules. You're the face of the Clemson program. You're on, kids' T-shirts, and people have hair helmets and stuff made out of your golden locks, and basically they want you to be the guy. So what great way to advertise for the NFL, campaign, and say, hey man, I can be the face of your franchise. Come and get me. I've got a decent background. The kid just got engaged. He'll be married soon, and man, that's the type of guy you want around your program, and to be the face of your program too. It's going to bring you a lot of money. But I mean, he's a humble guy, man. He's got a lot of uptick to him. I mean, if you look at the wide receivers he's been throwing to these last few years too, man, obviously a couple of them are still in the NFL doing big time things. But I mean, he can throw all the routes. He can, run the football. I mean, he's just a great quarterback. He's an all-around great dude and a good player. And I think, too, man, that's what you kind of compare when you start talking about some of the greats or the GOATs, of the game, like Patrick Mahomes, even Deshaun Watson. I mean, you go and you look at what even the Manning guys, the Manning brothers, were able to do in the league, and they had similar college careers, national championships, that type stuff. So it goes a long way, man, when you start looking at like you said, just all the stuff that he was able to accomplish in college, and he's been able to maintain his character and do some great things along the way, and that makes him one of those big time, once in a generational type players. And I could, like I said, compare him to Deshaun Watson, because Deshaun was one of those guys too. He got excuse me, he got injured. I want to say his was it his sophomore year? He got injured against Georgia Tech. I think he ended up tearing his ACL or something like that, and then he was able to kind of battle back before he had surgery and actually played the end of that season. I believe it was. And, he had a bunch of controversy surrounding the whole incident and all that good stuff, and where the coaches let him play and all that. But, man, it showed his character and his toughness to be able to come back from an injury like that and, lead his team to victory. But, he's the face of a franchise now in the Texans. And I compare him, to Trevor Lawrence, just because of that fact, man. Those guys have done some really great things, and will continue to do those great things at the next level in the NFL.
Right. I mean, I think you nailed it on the head. I mean, he's a once in a generational guy. I mean, people think that he's the number one quarterback in this upcoming draft for a reason. But other than Trevor Lawrence, Clemson also had Travis Etienne return for his senior year, and this year wasn't. I wouldn't say outstanding for Travis Etienne. I mean, this was his year with the fewest rushing yards, even touchdowns since his freshman season, and he never really seemed to find his rhythm. Would you say that Etienne is still the number one running back in this upcoming draft? And if so, what puts him above players like Najee Harris and Javonte Williams?
Well, that's a good question. I was going to say he's top three. He's top three because of those two guys. But he is one of the better backs because he has so much upside. And then at the same time, too, he wasn't taking a pounding like he was his sophomore season. And, limited carries. I think the most carries he had this season was 18 or 20, something crazy like that a game. And, he's obviously he came back for a reason. Work on his pass blocking, work on his catching ability out of the backfield. And I think he answered all of those questions too, man. He had some games where he had over, 130, 140 yards receiving. And that's just unheard of for a running back. But, when you say Najee Harris, man, he's one of those guys too, tough runner. can pass block, and obviously he can run the football. But Travis, man, to fill his shoes is going to be a big time deal at Clemson. He's the ACC leading everything. He even beat out C.J. Spiller for yardage and all that. And I think he's the NCAA record holder for a lot of stuff too. So that's some pretty big shoes to fill. But him at the next level, I think he's got a lot of uptake to him just because he hadn't taken a pounding this year. He didn't have 1,000 yards rushing. So, how many carries did he have? He's not beat up, and I think he's very healthy. And, he could go to a team and make an immediate impact. And, obviously his what he's been able to do at Clemson will be missed. But that's why you go out and recruit, and they've got a couple guys that hopefully can fill that void. And we've got a couple guys in the running back room now that, like I said, hopefully can fill that void and put up some big time numbers.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, I'm recording this episode from Baton Rouge, so I definitely wish we could have kept Travis Etienne in state. I mean, what he's done over the past 4 years was insane.
Yeah.
But more on the coaching side of things, we've seen Brent Venables be a candidate for every single or nearly every single Power 5 job for the last few years. What makes him the best defensive coordinator in the country, and what do you think? What do you think he'll have to be offered to be able to leave Clemson at all?
Well, what makes him the best? I mean, he's one of the best, but I think what puts him over the top is, man, he's one of those guys that has a really high motor. And if you're going to coach a bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-olds, you got to have a high motor, and you got to be able to relate to those guys. And it's kind of like the what's it acronym? Keep it simple, stupid. It's one of those things where the energy from the coach goes onto the field, and you see him every game with the get back coach having to drag him 5-6 yards back off the field, right? Because he's yelling at guys and getting in their faces, and he never stops coaching. I mean, I'm trying to remember the game this year. Was it maybe it was Miami? We went up big, and fourth quarter comes, and he's still 5-6 yards on the field yelling at guys and coaching them up. So I think that's one of the things that kind of puts him over the top. You never see him give up, man. And his energy is related to the guys on the field. Now, for him to leave, I think it'll take not an act of God, but he's got to be in the right time, right place situation where the coaching job is. So I could see him going back to, Oklahoma or somewhere in the Midwest and being a head coach somewhere. But obviously it's on his timing for sure, because, he's making over $3 million a season now. He is the highest paid defensive coordinator in the country. And, I mean, just like Dabo, man, he's got it made. I mean, why leave? You've been to six of the you've been to pretty much all the college football playoff games, right? And you've won 2 national championships in your 5-year span. So, I mean, it's nothing short of amazing to see what this coaching staff has been able to do. But that's what's so surprising. They've been able to, keep themselves together this long. So, I think it'll take money. I think it'll take the right team, the right athletic director, the right president, and I think it would take his kids graduating for him to leave. So that's going to be a couple of years. But I mean, I'm excited for him just because of the simple fact that he's going to be a great head coach, and that's the whole point. You see the way Nick Saban has been able to do it. I mean, he's created how many coaching staffs out of his tenure there at Alabama. And, every time you hear the news, it's like another coordinator or another assistant coach goes on to be a coordinator or a head coach somewhere. So it says a lot about the program that you run to have such high valued people there. So Dabo knows what he's doing. Tony Elliott's another one of those guys too that are I wouldn't say undervalued. They just gave him a pay raise, but offense looks a lot different when you have somebody else calling the plays, and I think we saw that during the Ohio State game, not to take anything away from the quarterback coach that was calling the plays, but it just goes to show you, man, in the heat of the moment, a guy that's been there and done that several times in college football playoff games and national championship, it just hits different, if that makes any sense. So,
yeah.
And obviously too, man, being a play caller and being in some of those tough situations, you have your bread and butter that you go to, and maybe things would have been called different. But obviously, we saw the difference in the play calling in that Ohio State game, and hey, offense couldn't get it done, and we missed Tony Elliott a little bit there. But like I said, Venables is a really great guy, man, high motor guy, and man, he's gonna be a great head coach someday wherever he goes. But he's going somewhere out west. I don't see him, being in the SEC. Probably go back to the Big 12 or maybe even the Big 10. I don't know.
Right. I mean, as an Auburn alum and Auburn fan, I was really hoping we'd land him this offseason, as you know, but he denied us very strongly. So did Tony Elliott. So it was kind of disappointing as an Auburn fan to hear that. But, I want to stay on the topic of coaching for one more question, because I think it's become a consensus in America. Dabo Swinney, Nick Saban are 1 and 2 in terms of the best head coaches in college football. Argue what you will about where they belong, but those are the top 2. But with that, man, it seems like Dabo gets a lot more criticism than he deserves, in my opinion. Some people would say otherwise. You see national pundits on ESPN rip him for this or that, and you have a bunch of blog posts and stuff. I mean, you played at Clemson when Dabo was an assistant coach, and so what do you think has made Dabo so successful, and why do you think that the national media has been so critical of him, almost to an extreme at times?
Well, I think the proof is in the pudding. I mean, you start looking at the recipe that Clemson has been able to concoct every year, and it's something like Alabama. And say, well, why is Alabama so successful? Well, when you're able to go out and recruit, some highly talented, 4 or 5 star guys, and you're able to get even a 3-star guy that's on the bubble, on the cusp, and bring him in and coach him up. I mean, that's basically it. I mean, you can take talent and mold it, and the atmosphere at Clemson is good. It's not too much to do there, but it's enough atmosphere there, enough to do around town to get recruits in, and when you're able to sit in somebody's living room and project the numbers to them, say, hey, we've been to 6 college football playoffs, we've graduated over 470 something guys, we keep a median GPA of a 3.0. I think that says a lot about what he's been able to do, and his support staff and all the people there, and obviously the players too. You start looking at the first round draft picks. You start looking at the players that are still in the NFL that have been produced in the last decade. I mean, what more do you need from a head coach to say to you to get him to come to that school? But again, just like Nick Saban, he's able to plug and play. It's no matter what it is, was a quarterback or wide receiver or defensive back, he's able to go out and recruiting. Once you get to a certain point, like Clemson and Alabama. It's like we're no longer chasing, the transfer portal. We're no longer chasing kids that are on the bubble. We're going out and getting the pick of the litter, and that just says a lot, about, like you said, the coaching staff and everything that they've been able to do, and the support staff of the school and the town and everything else. So, but I was there with Dabo when he came in. He actually replaced the guy that recruited me, and Rick Stockstill. But I think a lot of people think that his demeanor, choir boy type deal, is just an act. But I tell people to this day, I said, man, Dabo Swinney, it was the same guy back in 2004 when I met him as he is now in 2021. I mean, he is going to know your name. He's going to ask you how your family's doing. He's going to stop and take a picture with you or whatever it may be. And, he's a very genuine guy. Now, some of the stuff that he says on, on the TV may come off as disingenuous, and I get it. But if you don't know the person, then of course it may sound a little cheesy. But I think the national media gives him a lot of hell because they want a storyline, and then they want to be appeased by some type of I guess link or line or catchphrase, because that's what Dabo does.
Right.
He'll say BYOG, right? Bring your own guts or something like that. But and it's kind of one of those things where they want to get something out of him. But again, it's kind of it's he's at a point in his career now where he doesn't have to worry about what other people say or do or whatever. It's a done deal. He's at the $10 million season mark. He's got the graduation rate up where it needs to be. He's got guys that are very highly talented and going out, and he's going to winning games, 10, 11, 12 games a season. So, it's not like he needs to bend over backwards to the national media and do anything. You know what I mean? Just be himself and just roll on. But I think they try to poke the bear sometimes and, do a lot of stuff. But for me, obviously, even this summer, this past year with the Black Lives Matter, I think he probably could have did more there. But at the same time, too, if you put yourself out there, man, people are going to continue to want more. So I think he handled that the best that he could. A lot of people, man, jump on this kind of crazy bandwagon and try to find some kind of witch hunt, but it's not like that. And a lot of people, want to make a story out of nothing.
Right.
But I think Dabo again is the same guy that I met, with a wife and 3 boys, that was just trying to, make something of his life and help some people along the way. So he's proven that time and time again. You look at his coaching staff; he always promotes from within. He's never, going out and taking anybody that is on a whim that wants to coach, or he wants guys that are dedicated to their craft and they're going to be there. And that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean that's all absolutely true. But I'm going to go ahead and turn this over a little bit more to recruiting. And with National Signing Day being just about a week ago, I want to take it back to the National Signing Day when Clemson signed a top 3 class in the country. Miles Murphy and Brian Breesy wasted no time in contributing this season to the defensive line. What makes these 2 guys so special, and where do you foresee their Clemson career going? They're already being compared to greats like Christian Wilkins and Dexter Lawrence. Where do you think they can realistically go?
Well, I tell you what, if you look at Breesy, man, he's a man child. A guy of that size, with arm span, and he's a natural talent. So, you look at a guy like that, the only thing he needs to fix is just, hand placement, learn the playbook, and just get the proper technique down. But he made was he all team ACC this first team ACC. He was on some national boards too, as being talked about as player of the year type stuff. So the kid is a natural talent. So when you're able to go out and get a 5-star guy who's the number one everything, that's pretty easy to get a guy like that and try to kind of mold that talent. You know what I mean? It's already halfway there. It's like the cake is already done. I just need to, put the icing on it and it's ready to go. So, if you look at the talent too that, is surrounding him, you've got a lot of guys on that defensive line, man, that you probably haven't even heard of yet. And we had a lot of guys transfer too, but the incoming freshman guys are going to be really good. But, it's only one football to go around. You can only take one snap at a time, and there's a lot of guys who won't play in time. So I could see them leaving, going on doing different things. So I don't blame them there. But for Breesy, man, he's sky's the limit for him. And he's only going to continue to get better and bigger, and which is the scary thing. So they're going to be really good. Yeah, they're going to be really good. But yeah, like you said, that freshman class last year, man, I think the injuries played a big part, but for the most part, man, those young defensive linemen came to play every game, man, and they look spectacular. They look special.
Yeah, I think we like in our podcast we did ACC breakout players and Barisi, and we had Barisi and we had Miles Murphy both qualify there for our podcast. So they just dominated. But looking to this class, I mean, you're a former Clemson running back, so I really am looking for your opinion on this one. We saw, speaking of the cake, Will Shipley is there. That's the number one all-purpose back in the country. He's coming in after, DeMarcus Bowman's transfer, Travis Etienne's going to the draft. What, in terms of like everything you know about the game, makes Shipley such an elite running back? And do you think he's going to come in and start or contribute immediately?
Well, I think what makes him a great running back, man, is just he's shifty. You know what I mean? And he's got I like to call it a third gear. You know what I mean? He's got breakaway speed. He's one of those guys that kind of like C.J. Spiller. He could catch out the backfield and he could make a move on a linebacker or a cornerback and take it 60 or 70. It's hard to say what guys will do. Coming in, obviously he's got to hit the weight room. He's got to get bigger, faster, stronger. So from that standpoint, man, I think that he's got the frame to put on a couple of pounds and get a little bit bigger so he can run between the tackles. But obviously in this offense where we throw the ball, 60 times a game, he's got to be able to catch out of the backfield and make somebody miss. And like you said, go score a touchdown. We've got a lot of young guys in that room too. Ches Malusi is one of those guys too that I think is going to have a breakout year this year. He's one of those guys too, that low center of gravity, just like Shipley, but he's got a little bit more weight, got a little more butt to him, and he can run between the tackles. So Shipley, if he wants to fit in, he's going to have to learn how to do the short yardage. He's going to have to learn how to pass block and take on those 250-pound linebackers in the hole. And, he's got to learn the playbook. So, he's got a lot to do. And then, of course, you got Lynn Dixon back there and a few other guys. So you thought the room was clearing out with all the seniors leaving and all that. But, Darian Richards coming back, and you got a few other guys that have opted to come back too. So the room is going to be very crowded. Very crowded, but I think Shipley will get his touches. And the way to get on the field is special teams. I mean, he could be kick returner and all that type of stuff to kind of prove himself. So that's going to be excited to see him and what he can do after this spring.
Yeah, absolutely. That actually kind of sets me up perfectly here. So looking ahead at 2021, Clemson is returning a lot of the defensive production. They're still losing a lot of offensive talent. They are returning, like you said, a lot of players, but they're losing, some of their top players in the backfield. And so who are some potential breakout stars to look for in this Clemson team next season?
Ooh, well, I'm wondering where they're getting all these scholarships from. Honestly, I said, man, you got 9 guys or 10 guys coming back. It's like, what's going on here with the scholarships? But you got Xavier Thomas coming back, the punter coming back. You got, Darren Kendrick coming back, Skalski coming back. What's I'm trying to think of the safety's name. He's coming back. I think production wise, you're probably going to stay the same. I don't think they're going to get any better. From a defensive standpoint, the defensive line will probably get better. They may come back and change the scheme from that 3-4. They may go back to a 4-3, a true 4-3, just because you've got the lockdown corner in Booth and Darren Kendrick. So that's an avenue there that I'd like to see him go. And then you've got 4 guys literally that can take on a double team and, with Davis and all those guys. So maybe that'll happen. Maybe it'll go back to a true 4-3, but who knows? But I think production probably stays the same. Probably not so many big time plays that they have that give up this year. You think about some of the games that we played against Syracuse, where the first half we gave up 4 or 5 plays over 30 or 40 yards. It's like, come on, guys, what are we doing? So,
Right.
More veteran guys back there. Yeah, having more veteran guys back there to be able to, run the defense. I think you may see same production, just less, fluff from other offenses. So, and then on the other side of the football too, got a bunch of guys coming back. And one of my guys that I enjoyed talking to was Darian Rencher, man. And he's one of those guys too, man, that can play. He's got some wheels. He's a little undersized, but he's got some wheels on him, man. He can pass block. He's smart too. I like to see him get more touches. But like I said, man, that running back room's getting a little crowded. It is. And then obviously your wide receiver, you're going to have everybody coming back. And then we get Justin Ross back too, which is a big time deal. And, hate to see him out this year. We could have used him, but, you'll have Nagata, you'll have Williams, you'll have Ross. Trying to think who else. You got two incoming freshmen that are 5-star guys. They're supposed to be really good too. So, a chance for them to learn the scheme and offense and get in there. It'll be pretty cool. I'm trying to think who else. I think we'll have a brand new offensive line. But other than that, everybody else is, pretty much gonna run on. I'm trying to think who else we had leave. We had a bunch of guys in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Defensive linemen, maybe a couple special teams guys. I'm trying to think who else. Drawing a blank right now. But again, we've got guys you haven't even heard about yet that recruited 3 or 4 years ago that are just waiting their time to shine. So I'm definitely excited about it, and especially watching DJ spin the ball. And who would have thought? I mean, 5-star guy, Trevor Lawrence getting COVID, having to sit out, and say, all right, we're going to throw you in to play and one of the biggest games of your career. And it's like, oh, okay, all right, well, just throw for 410 yards and, rush
right.
for a couple touchdowns. Yeah, so it's excited to see him play. But I just, again, that's a cap off to, the coaching staff and what they've been able to do and recruit and, get guys in there and coach them up, man. I'm definitely excited about this year. And, seeing the stadium fill back up and seeing some new names and faces, on the scoreboard as they continue to, run this amazing offense and have so much success in what they've been able to do in these last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Ross was it was a heartbreaking thing for him to have to miss this year. I'm so glad he gets back on the field. I love Braden Galloway's potential too at that tight end / big wide receiver spot. And I really like Trenton Simpson at linebacker too. He was originally committed to Auburn. I saw he got a lot of time toward the end of the season. That kid is a straight baller. That kid's got major speed. He played 2 ways in high school. I mean, he rushed for like 2,000 yards his senior year.
Yeah.
It's just
and like you said, Galloway, man, Galloway's one of those guys too, man. He was hit or miss at the beginning of the season, and I guess he just kind of found his niche and he was starting to catch balls and do different things. For me, I just think offensively we have to be more physical this upcoming season. That's from the offensive line, all the way back to the wide receivers, pass blocking downfield, that type of stuff. Because, I forget what game it was. Maybe it was I'm trying to think what game it was now. We needed a yard and a half or 6 inches or something like that to end the game on offense. And, we punted it and gave it back to the defense to seal the game. But it's like, you got to have that mentality on both sides of the football, right?
Right.
It's going to take us to win and only us. We're not going to fold on a 4th and 1 to seal the game and win a national championship and punt it. We're not going to do that. We're going to, be physical up front, and we're going to have that all beat all mentality, when it comes to short yardage in the running game, and we're not going to get pushed around by any defenses. So that's kind of one of the things that we haven't seen in a while. We haven't seen an enforcer on the defense or the offensive side of the ball. And Skalski is definitely the defensive enforcer, but, we haven't seen anybody on offense kind of take that role and, never back down mentality. And even Trevor Lawrence this year, Trevor was that guy. He got, knocked around a few times. I want to say Boston College game and Miami game, he got hit several times and was able to get back up and, fix his chin strap and score some touchdowns and stuff. But, yeah, we need a guy on offense that don't take no smack off of nobody, and
right.
Assert his dominance and let it be known that he's there.
Right. And, last question here, man. I know we're recording early February. This is ACC in 28 days for February, but we've broken down all these players. We've talked recruiting, everything. last thing I got to know, man, it's coming up into this season. Clemson's returning a lot of starters. Alabama's reloading. Everyone's high on them. Everyone loves Oklahoma, Iowa State, Notre Dame. All the big names are up there. Ohio State got Malik Willis at quarterback. That's going to be interesting. But for Clemson football, what is your ceiling and or floor for this team next season?
Well, I think the ceiling would be national championship again. Obviously, if you look at what they've been able to do these last few seasons and the pieces that they've been able to kind of put in, it's going back to the same analogy where it was, it doesn't matter what the recipe. I mean, the recipe stays the same no matter what you put in it. If that makes any sense. Well, the product stays the same. Sorry, the product stays the same no matter what you put in it. So it's exciting to see some of these young guys get in and get some time and some burn, and they don't have to wait till the last game to get in. They're getting in, and the second or third quarter, a lot of these big time games, and when their number gets called, they're not I guess green as freshmen or true freshmen. They have some playing time and they know what they're doing. So I think the ceiling for Clemson with all the returning guys and all the young guys that they have, because it's mostly sophomores and juniors now. I think the ceiling is definitely national championship and then winning, being 14-1 or 15-0. Now the floor, the low part would be, them going to the ACC championship, losing, or them going back to the college football playoff and losing. And it's always that, that doubt there. Miami with the type of talent that they have at quarterback. You've got sleeper teams in there like I don't know if Duke will be back, after their rough season, but you got a couple sleeper teams. One of my sleeper teams is Syracuse, man. I mean, they're coming off a bad year, and maybe they could come back and do something next year. They always seem to give Clemson trouble. But you never know. But you've got Virginia Tech in there too. That's up and coming. Even Virginia. So a lot of schools out there are still rebuilding, trying to find their quarterbacks and stuff. But I think the league play this coming year will be a lot better. And then obviously starting off with Georgia in the Chick-fil-A Bowl, Chick-fil-A kickoff is going to be exciting too to see if we're able to put 2 and 2 together. Coming out of summer camp, but man, it's exciting to have football back. Obviously, there's going to be some spring football coming up here pretty soon, so that's going to be pretty cool to watch some of the small schools. But I think again the ceiling for Clemson will be national championship or bust. Obviously, seeing DJ and what he's been able to do in his 3 or 4 games that he played this year, 2 games that he started. But man, it's definitely exciting. And one of the cool things about, college football, we only get these guys for 3 or 4 years, but to see that growth and see what they've, a summer off will do to the program, man, is really cool. And that's how we continue to remain fans and, have so much hype around the season. So I think Shipley, that's going to be my guy this season. Hope to see him do some big time things. And then, like I said, on the defensive side of the football, man, I want to see Darian Kendrick. He's supposed to be this top number 1 defensive lockdown corner at 6'2". So I want to see him this year, man, not get abused like he did the last 2 seasons in the college football playoff. And not to say we don't have great talent in the ACC. We play some really good wide receivers, but it always seems like he doesn't show up on the big time stage, and that's right. That's something that needs to be fixed if he's gonna stay around. So,
right.
I love it, man. I'm rooting for Clemson, man. We are big. We're like secret Clemson fans on this podcast. We've had Don Munson on here like 2 or 3 times, so we root for Clemson for him. That's our guy, and so we definitely appreciate you coming on here, man. Talking Clemson football. We're gonna give you a minute, man. Any social media, the Clemson Radio Network. We're gonna let you plug everything right now, man. So our listeners know where to find y'all.
I tell you what, 105.5 The Roar every game, and then I think they may even let us call the spring game this year if we have one. But
wow, that's awesome.
Well, hopefully we make it happen. It's been a lot of social distancing and mask and all that type stuff. So maybe they'll let us in the booth for the spring game, and we'll get the chance to call it. But man, I appreciate you guys for having me on, man. I enjoyed the talk, and anytime we get to talk Clemson football and football in general, I'm excited about it. And even though Tampa Bay and Tom won last night, like I said, kind of put a little spoil in my mouth, but that was a great game. And we don't get any football for a couple more weeks here, man. But I'm so excited about the upcoming season and everything that's gonna unveil itself here in the next couple weeks. So I appreciate you guys having me on again, man. And as always, go Tigers.
That's right. Go Tigers, guys. And y'all know where to find the Blue Bloods, man. Y'all can find the podcast anywhere, YouTube, the Blue Bloods or the Blue Bloods CFB podcast. Y'all know everything else, man. But for right now, guys, we are out.